right, thank you. All right, just to begin. This is the moment that we have all seen. Public works staff dismantling people's homes. The bulldozer crushing everything in its path. The police acting as security for city staff. People having mental breakdowns for all the commotion that comes with displacement. People reduced to any personal property that they can save with their hands. But what we often miss is what's not in plain sight. The people who quietly sleep inside their vehicles. This is the first group of people that I met at the Berkeley Marina, a place where I could find that I could park my RV while attending grad school. We all became neighbors. We were bounded by trauma, the fear of prosecution for living outside, and for safety, we stayed together. But when you look beyond the cluster of vehicles, you will see the home-cooked meals that are prepared inside with care. The sanctuary that guards their body and soul, protecting people from the elements. The places in which children play and share moments of joy with their parents. Theo loved to play outside his lordship's parking lot with his dad and the other 8 kids in our community. We live in this decade a lot in the Berkeley Marina momentarily, before the city forced us out in the summer of 2018 back to the streets. The lot has been empty ever since, guarded by private security to prevent people from returning. But while we had this safe space, even if it was just an empty parking lot, we were able to engage in activities as community. People would watch each other's pets while at work. The animals were our loyal companions through the ups and downs of our lives and lift our spirits. The spaces where people attempt to build community. People sit down to cook meals for each other and share them. The birthday parties and celebrations quietly taking place on the streets. On this occasion, Chris's RV was decorated and filled with balloons while away at work, and he returned to a pleasant surprise. We were barbecuing in the dark, but we all celebrated. What we also don't see is basically framing homelessness reporting through the eyes of the people that are most affected. Shedding light on their daily obstacles, the policies that make every day living in the city harder and harder. Greg's home was a 1986 Cadillac. All his life, he had always owned this type of car. But at 64 years old, this will become the first Cadillac that he will live in. With no basic amenities, it made his life difficult. But despite the hardships, unhoused people fight back against their own depression, the feeling of being hated by society. Greg moved his home from place to place, searching for a place to park in this neighborhood. I actually met him down the street on 16th and Bryant. His home was small, but he would make it his own. He would sit back in the evenings, eating snacks while watching some of his favorite 90s movies or YouTube videos. He enjoyed the small pleasures of life, like good music and films, just like everyone that was sheltering in place at that moment. Behind the thin layer of a fabric or behind the wheel, people find safety and stability. Greg often found himself behind the wheel. As a former tow truck driver or a Lyft driver, driving aimlessly through San Francisco, searching for economic opportunities, and also searching for a place where to belong. The little stability that people build for themselves on the street, unfortunately, doesn't last long. They are pushed out by all the forces that don't want to see them there. People have to find a place to camp every 3 days, and in other occasions, every day. This requires incredible problem-solving skills that not every person has or can do for themselves. In that hostile environment, people are still trying to function, still doing chores to keep yourself and the house clean every day, still getting ready to work, and making sure that you are present at your job. Tante worked for the homeless service provider Urban Alchemy, cleaning elevators at the BART station. This was one of her many jobs, to save up for her firstborn child. She also repaired and sold used vehicles, and she was also a landlord. She would rent 2 of her RVs to other unhoused people that had no means of paying rent. For less than $500 a month, she would make sure that her tenants would have water and electricity in the vehicles. And there are moments when unhoused people can break out of this cycle and find a stable home. These are moments worth highlighting to give other people in this situation hope. Tante was also able to receive subsidized housing for 2 years. Her voucher was extended due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which helped her rebuild her life inside again. But it's also worth noting that an open door can become a closed door for others. After Tante left the street in the Bayview, no one could park there anymore. But there's also the people that want to help, and they are out there connecting with people every day. Dennis works for the VA and goes out to every camp in Oakland searching for veterans. At times, it can be like finding a needle in a haystack, but he doesn't give up and continues to build rapport. When he finds unhoused veterans, he gets them inside the same day. But not everyone is so lucky to find the help, and they face the daily consequences of displacement. People's only means of shelter is confiscated, and some of them accrue debt from their vehicle homes being towed. Their personal property and any meaningful memories inside your home is ravaged through. Here, city staff were going through the few belongings that people had saved that day and still took everything out of the luggage and people's bike carts so they can make their own determination of what was worthy of saving. So basically, most of their property was just thrown away. But advocates also show up to these kind of scenarios and help people save their only means of livelihood. They're out there all the time just trying to stop this from happening. So there are issues at encampment clearings, also known as sweeps, which need to be better documented. Here, Berkeley police were pressuring Alice to get all her property inside a 2-person tent that had been issued by the city. If none of her property would fit, it will be discarded and thrown to the garbage truck. She could barely fit inside the tent with her dog, Compass. In these cases, there are mental injuries that these type of city actions cause to people. Alice felt so broken down that day, she couldn't even go to the bathroom without being afraid that her property or dog could be gone. The next day, she had to be hospitalized because the anxiety exacerbated her high blood pressure and asthma. There is also the demeanor of city staff during these devastating moments. This is how they show up for the people that they are supposed to support and serve. There's also the over-policing of poverty. Bobo is a 68-year-old man who was about to get arrested for simply asking for his tent back. His son defended him and ended up getting arrested and was sent to jail for 4 days in Santa Rita. There's also the city's actions to shut down any community support that these unhoused communities receive. And there's also the spontaneous encampment clearings that happen before sunrises, while everyone is sound asleep. We need to be out there covering these events so this kind of violence inflicted upon people does not continue to be normalized. But now, I would like to leave you with 6 lessons that I've learned through my reporting to elevate the voices of unhoused people. The first lesson, think beyond the label. There's community in every cluster of tents and vehicles that you may see on the street. People depend on one another for safety and survival, and their relationships get strained with forced displacement, the ongoing threat. Focus on solutions, not just the problem. Unhoused people are devising solutions for themselves to alleviate their hardships. Some of these solutions for them look like fighting in court despite not having legal representation, or an ID to drop off your paperwork inside the courthouse. Stick around and look beyond what you see. The moments of people actively building community are some of the moments that we always miss. The community is made up of those that live on the street, but also those who support them, who show up every week to lend a hand. Seek permission. Be clear with your sources about your intentions and how the work will be presented. This also includes children. No one is prepared to become the face of homelessness, and it's a traumatic experience if we do that without their consent. Take what you need and leave what you can. This is one of our street philosophies. It's important to acknowledge that we're reporting in an environment of scarcity, and we can also share a small slice of ourselves. This could be food, water, or information. With Catchlight's help, I created this informational poster during the COVID-19 pandemic to let unhoused people know how to take care of themselves during these times when we're the last ones to basically get any information about the protocols. As journalists, we are walking informants, and there's so much more that we can share. What we give on the field can make a big difference in a person's life. But the most valuable lesson that I learned in my reporting through my Catchlight Fellowship was from Elias and Frankie's mom, Jennifer. She said living on the streets with her children had been the hardest episode of her life. But looking at this image, it made her realize that there were moments when they were also happy. She defined home for me, which I hope that you will also take away. Home is not necessarily a place with four walls. It's where your heart is. It's where your family is. Thank you.